Health management. Health management is the description of how healthy your character is. That's what it is. And this is not going to take as long as some of the other two, really. The Because it's not as primary as conflict resolution or character creation. But there are some significant differences between them. It's not like, advantages and powers and feats and all that, which are the benefits you get from character build. That's largely in character creation, and they have different names, but they're generally the same thing from system to system to system. Um, you either get a bonus or an ability or capability or whatever. Now, health management. The There are three main types that I've seen right now. The oldest is hit points. This is the Dungeons and Dragons again. The oldest, the ones I start with are all the Dungeons and Dragons ones. Um, Hit points is you have X number of hit points, and when you run out, your character is unconscious or dead, and that's it. And every attack deals X amount of hit point damage. And this is fairly simple to do. You don't have to. You see it in a lot of video games. It's just that, oh, I get hit, I take X amount of damage. And I can take so and so many other hits before I die. Very simple. Subtraction, addition, blah. One of the downsides is a lot of people don't feel it's very realistic because you can get hit by a car and still live, which does happen in real life. But the other thing is that for most hit point systems, it doesn't matter how much damage you take. Your character is never loses capability. You could be completely healthy, or you could be on the last verge of dying. You are still operating at full capacity in whatever case. No penalties. And a lot of people don't really like that. I choose with hit point systems to imagine that the hit points aren't really me getting hit so much as me pressing my luck or getting tired. And a defense, rolling a having a successful defense means they didn't even tire me out. Getting hit means I just barely avoided that fatal blow, and I'm getting a little bit worn down and tired now. And eventually I'll run out of hit points, and they'll actually hit me, and I'll die or whatever. But it takes some work to get around the hit point issue, and for a lot of people it breaks suspension of disbelief. The next system, which is getting more and more common, is the wound level system, which is basically a hit point system where there is a set number of hit points, usually for each person. Sometimes you can get an advantage, which will give you more health levels. But the main thing is your health level. When you lose a certain level of health levels, you start taking penalties to your actions. You lose dice. You take a -2 to the dice you roll, or whatever it is, depending on the system you're using. In any case, that's what a wound level is. So it's like, oh, I've taken 2 wounds. I'm now at 1. I now roll -1 dice. I've 8 wounds. I'm now at -4 dice, and that's wound level. But if you have advantages in the system that allow you to ignore the wound level penalties, then it becomes a hit point system again. Then you have the status effect system of health management. This is where status effects method is where I'll do Mutants Masterminds first. Mutants Masterminds, you would get attacked by being punched at, and you get hit, and then you roll a saving throw. If you make the saving throw, you take no effect. It doesn't do any damage. You just shrug it off. If you fail the saving throw barely, you get a bruised status. And what bruised does is that for until that bruised goes away, you roll -1 to save on future non-lethal rolls. And these are cumulative. So if you get bruised 3 times, you're now at -3. If you fail the saving throw by 5 or more, you get dazed. By 10 or more, you get staggered. By 15 or more, you're unconscious. If I remember correctly. I don't have my Mutants Masterminds books with me. And there's a similar progression for lethal damage, ending in dead, of course. The thing is you don't have hit points, you have effects. It's like, oh, you're not -10 hit points, you're bruised. You have 10 bruises. Oh my goodness, you're at -10 every time you get hit. How are you not... How is it that you don't have a serious wound yet? You get the... And then you get, oh no, you're bleeding, you're dying. And that's a status. It has certain effects. It gives you penalties. Someone says you lose your turn this round, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's kind of the status effect thing. It's pretty cool. Now, one of my favorite systems right now is kind of a merger between between hit points and status effects. Is you have hit points, sort of. This is the fate system. You call them a stress track. Say and the different fate systems do it in different ways. I'm going to talk about the Dresden method first. The Dresden Fate method, which is called the single set method in Strands of Fate, is you have a track of boxes depending on your stats. Let's say you have 5 physical boxes, and you take a stress that does 5 stress. You fill in your 5 box, and your other boxes are empty. You take an attack that does 4 stress, you fill in your 4 stress, and so on. You take an attack that does 6 stress. Oh, you don't have a 6 box. That means you're going to be defeated. But you don't want to be defeated. So you take a minor consequence, which reduces that by 2 down to 4. And now you fill in that 4 box. Except for, of course, you already filled in that 4 box. And you just did a minor consequence. You can't do another one, so now you have to do a major consequence. Or you could just do a major to begin with, no minor. And now you have a major consequence, which you have to be treated for it to go away, and it will take a day once you get treated. I like this. It really, you have to think about what kind of consequences you're going to take and everything. It's very interesting, and it's not like Mutants Masterminds where it's a cut and dried, the same consequences all the time. Consequence might be bruised, another consequence might be black eye, another consequence might be broken nose, another consequence might be twisted ankle, and these can all have different effects on you by the decision of the other players, the storyteller, the game master, or whatever. And it presents a much more robust thing of health, because, like, oh, you have a severe consequence. You're going to have that for a month, unless you have regeneration. You had broken ribs. It's going to be for a month. You're going to be dealing with those broken ribs. And are you still going to be trying to fight while you have broken ribs? And it's like, oh, you're fighting broken ribs. And it's persistent. They don't have to give you a fate point when you compel it. Which, I'm getting into fate mechanics now. I'm sorry. It's like, but it's even worse than a normal consequence, because it can be always taken against you. Oh, you're always at -2 because of those broken ribs. Until you heal. And it's much more robust, much more versatile, much more able to fit a storytelling method as adverse a wound level, such as Storyteller itself uses, or the cut and dried same consequences over and over and over again that Masterminds uses. And it's definitely better. It's definitely more immersive than the hit point method used by D&D and other games. What the problem is is that these more complex methods are harder to understand for new players. So a lot of times it's better to have experienced players playing those kind of games, which means you want the hit point systems out there for the new players. Dungeons and Dragons is a good system, which makes me sad because Wizards is kind of screwing it up, because it is a good system for beginners to cut their teeth on. And that's pretty much it. Anyway, that's my rendition on health management. And this is going to be my last one. Like I told you, it's 10 minutes. It's a lot shorter than the other two. This is my last one of the three major categories of the differences between different role-playing games. Is character creation and advancement, and conflict resolution, and the last is this health management. Thank you.